What's up, guys? Welcome to the 4th episode of Zest Radio, where we are flavor
Zest Radio.
oriented. And I am here with a beautiful soul, my best
Where
friend,
flavor
beautiful
matters.
artist, and he goes by PAULO VENTURA, also known as ALIENATIV. Let's give it up.
Hello.
So happy to have you here today.
My pleasure, Mama. I love you. Little claps.
All right, my beautiful friend. So how are you?
I'm good. Little sleep deprived, but
Aren't
really
we
happy
all,
to be
man?
here with you.
Yeah. Yeah, what you been up to? Can we talk about some new music? I know you've just been releasing some really cool hits nonstop. So can we talk about what you've been releasing lately?
Yeah. I've been putting out tracks on SoundCloud every week, public. So I'm trying to stay consistent with that, along with the other stuff that I have every week of cadence as well. And then I am lining up 3 EPs that I want to release simultaneously. I don't know the date yet,
Okay.
but I'm working on that to have them all on one day. It's going to be like
Exciting stuff.
all for ALIENATIV, deep dubstep, and some melodic bass.
Amazing. So guys, if you don't know, which you probably do, PAULO VENTURA is a Nashville maker, really. He specializes in house and also bass music as well. He's a man of many cards, and I just want to highlight you because the way that you create the atmosphere of the dance floor is intriguing, because not only do you play with melodic, you play with very heavy elements also within ALIENATIV. So can we also talk about how you got started with PAULO VENTURA? When did ALIENATIV come along, and what inspired that new artist name?
Yeah. I've been doing PAULO VENTURA since, I'm going to say, 2011-ish. I mean, I've always been myself, like that's my actual name. But I've been doing that, and then when I got to Nashville, I started pushing house music a lot because there was not a lot of space for it. That was around 2018, 2019, and I got a lot of credit for it, which I'm very grateful. But it did make a lot of people see me as a house music DJ, and it's an honor to be like, hey, you're a house DJ, and. But then I found bass music. It was definitely through Soundhaven.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how did you find that
Yeah.
lane?
I was not really knowledgeable or acquainted with deep dubstep. I knew dubstep like from years ago, like listening to Skrillex and what was on Beatport mainly, but I wasn't really consuming it. But then I went to Soundhaven, and until then, it's like, I don't like.
What is bass
This
music?
wah, wah,
A lot of
wah, I
people
don't
don't
know.
know about electronic music yet, or all of the different genres within them. So it's really beautiful that you caught that wave.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm very devoted to the dance floor, and until I experienced it at the dance floor, I was kind of oblivious and like, I don't really care for it. But then I was there, and like seeing them dancing and being there,
You're like, oh, this is me.
I'm like, oh, I kind of fuck with it.
It opened up your soul. Yeah.
Can I do bad words here?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that's how I start getting into it. More on the deeper dubstep stuff that I really like, because I really love reggae. And there's a very, close, they're very
Similar. And
similar.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, at first it was not well accepted by the people that would, I'm not going to say they follow me, there's my friends that will go to shows and stuff. At first I started playing, incorporating bass to my mixes, and some of the people were like, oh, I'll go to your show, but if you play dubstep, I'm not gonna go. And I'm
Ah,
like, oh, thanks for the support.
yeah. The
Uh,
feedback.
yeah.
We'll take it. But
But that was kind of, what made me separate the projects. Not separate. I had already Alienative as a project from like years ago that I put on the side. Excuse me.
you're good.
Um, and then I just kind of brought it back to express that in a way that wouldn't affect Paulo Ventura, and it's been working very well because
I
now I
see.
have
I
this,
hear.
I have this
It's
blank
working
canvas that I
great, my
can just
friend.
throw paint at and go
Exactly.
crazy and
I love
mix.
that
Yeah.
you created that new alias to give yourself that realm to express yourself in.
Yeah.
Within house music, you know, how did you feel like the transition between the crowds? Or maybe do you feel like one is more accepting than the other? Or how do you feel about the bass versus the house scene?
Oh well. That you're always gonna have the clicks, regardless if it's house, because house. It it can be so many branches of house, and same with bass music. You have all different expressions, and you're gonna have the clicks, right? And
Yeah,
you have people that like the heavier stuff, people that like the more mellow, and you can't please everybody, and you can only like look at a dance floor and be like, oh, I think they will like this more and or that, and see how they react and go accordingly. And also do your best to just stay authentic and not really, give them a show and set the vibe sometimes.
you're doing a fabulous job. And honestly, I want to talk about those clicks and stuff within your production style. House music does have a certain drum kit per se, and so does bass.
Hmm.
So, how do you correlate the difference between the two when you're sitting down? Do you say, "Oh, hey, I'm going to do a house track," or do you say, "I'm going to do a bass track," or do you just let it flow? How do you sit down and begin your production style?
Well, now that I'm doing this weekly track stuff, that I need to be on top of it. I need to be like, hey, I need to have a track by Wednesday, so
Okay, so you have a
let me
release
get on
schedule
it.
going on, and you're making sure you're putting out new music each week, or
Yeah, like
awesome.
I have the magical weekends. For whoever is not familiar with my stuff, I have a series on Instagram that I've been doing for 6 years, and it's something I put on my Instagram every week since 2019, and it's just a purple cover with like kind of
He's
artwork,
so humble.
and
It's so cool, guys. And also, the reason I also want to highlight you because not only do you produce, you also are a visualizer as
mhm,
well. And you can create these graphic and the videos to also continue your storytelling.
mhm.
And I think that's so just, I want to bow to you. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yes,
So with the magical weekends, it started with static images that I would use PixArt. It's an app on the phone, and just try to make some artwork and make it purple because that's the
that's your
color
color.
scheme is black and purple for that project. For Alien Native is black, sorry, red. Yeah. Um, I'm always wearing black.
On
Yeah,
brand,
yeah.
always.
Um, but it started with static images, and then I found Blender, which is a 3D graphics software, and I just started diving into that and started making visuals, started making loops for my own tracks, and started making music videos. The thing just escalated. But now I'm just, trying to just have fun with it and not really overthink. But to answer your question on the music stuff, I don't really have. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a house track or I'm making a bass track or whatever. If there's something that gets me inspired, I just
Let it flow.
like let it flow and tunnel vision.
I
And
think that's beautiful, and I think the biggest thing for artists to keep in mind as you create music or visuals or anything like that, don't cut yourself off to one genre or one style or what is cool to another person or what is acceptable to this dance floor compared to another, because really just being yourself is what accelerates people. And I'm
Hmm.
really proud that you're doing that, because you share that with the city of Nashville and worldwide, and we're so gifted by your presence and your art.
Mm.
Yes, so
I get
thank
you for
you.
your, by your presence too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's go back and talk about your culture and where you come from, because you're Brazilian, and I want to see how that incorporates, into you as a person. How do you think where you come from has inspired your sound?
Mhm. Well, I grew up in Brazil. I lived in Brazil till I was 25, and definitely influenced by, bands and electronic music from Brazil. Um, I'm not gonna say I'm the most Brazilian type of person. Like, there's genres such as samba, pagode, forró, and stuff that I didn't really consume growing up. I listened to a lot of metal and
Me
stuff
too.
that was on MTV, and I was more of a rock punk kid that started listening to electronic music in early 2000s. There was a lot of stuff coming from Europe, right? But I definitely liked I like the funk beat, the samba drums.
Oh, yes.
I love the all Afro influence stuff that we have in
It's
Brazil,
beautiful. Yeah.
and I do my best to incorporate it and embrace it. The hat that I wear is it's a celebration of the gaucho culture. For you guys that are not familiar, it's like the South American cowboys, pretty much. If I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it in a box that
I'm a
doesn't deserve that.
rhinestone cowboy.
But I just wanted to find a way to celebrate Brazil in some way, and it's been a gift.
You do a
Like,
fabulous job.
yeah.
So going off that with the cultures and moving into, the US, how is it compared crowd wise? Like, do you feel that the culture here is accepting of electronic music more compared to Brazil, or
In
how?
Nashville,
Yeah.
there's definitely a pushback. I observed that the bass crowd is definitely more organically loyal to the dance floor. Uh, Not that the house crowd is not. I believe that there is definitely a devotion for that,
I love you
you
say
know,
devotion. Yeah.
area or operation, whatever you want to call it. But I see an organic movement regionally with jam bands and bluegrass and deep dubstep.
Yeah.
Some have headbanging too, but I just see the mass of the populace that like electronic music that gravitates more towards that.
That's
Not
cool.
necessarily, but there's definitely pushback on the other genres and on the commercial space. Um, they like country music a lot, and that's where most of the money goes to. But I also feel like embracing electronic music it's fatal. Like it's gonna happen over time because the youth is gonna continue demanding more and more, and people moving from other cities are also gonna demand more and more. And also, we're the music city, and it's our responsibility to embrace all music. You know.
Absolutely. And going off that with country music, the beauty about country music is the storytelling and within music in general. So I think when people can realize within electronic music that it is the same. We're telling a story. Some people just think it's the same beat over and over, but it's not that. And if you have the right producing elements and you're actually using it as it should be and telling the story within that, you can actually tell a story without using any words.
Hmm.
Um, and that's what I find beautiful about you. And speaking of, um, we released a track called Faluka a few years ago after my car wreck, and it was one of the most beautiful pieces I think we've ever created. And we created it that day, just a few hours. Um, and I'll never forget it, and us high-fiving
Mm-hmm.
after, and how we came up with that and what we're sailing through, because we named it Felucca, and being in the same boat together,
Mm-hmm.
and going through the wind together of you say this feedback and stuff, because a lot of people are saying don't do this, don't do that, but you have to stay authentic to yourself, and in order to prevail on, it's the biggest thing in artistry, I think, in order to create music that's timeless, that you can always go back and relate to without having to actually maybe say what you're going through at that time, or just using different elements that can illustrate the story and say it in the way that we want to present it. So that's really cool that we got to come together on that track. You guys check out Felucca, if
Yeah, it's on
you if you
Spotify.
haven't. Yeah, we'll link it in the comments. Um, I'll never forget that day. So
Yeah,
thank you
it's
so
a very
much for that.
special
Yes,
track for
yeah,
sure.
and you've been releasing so
We
much
gotta
cool
make more.
stuff. We do. We'll always make music. Yeah, I want to talk about, you know, we have a beautiful friend named Kyle Ginther that we share a love for, that highlighted bringing the community together, and I'm so happy that you continue to bring the community together, and that legacy continues to live on. And I know that he's very proud of what you're doing, and I want to talk about the new music that you're releasing, because we
We're
went out
here
and
carrying the
celebrated.
torch.
Yeah, we're making sure.
We love Kyle, and
Yeah,
one of my favorite memories is something that he said. You know, because we have a lot of drama and bullshit in the scene,
in any
and
industry, it
there's
comes
always going to be the
hardships.
ups and downs, hills and valleys. And one of the lessons that he taught me is like, don't focus on the problems, focus on the solutions. And that's something that I do my best to embrace and share with people that are struggling with that. And we're here, carrying the message and doing our best to just be authentic and
Yeah, and being
embrace
yourself. So if
ourselves.
you are struggling with how can I be more me without worrying about people accepting me, just making sure that as long as it
Just be
sounds
weird.
good to
Who gives a
you,
fuck?
it
Like,
sounds
be
good to
you.
everyone else. And I think that's also where confidence can grow, and you can realize things about yourself, whether it be outside of music. Um, just making sure that you're authentically living in that beat, living in, what you step into
Mhm.
each day. And I love that you have the two aliases, because Paulo Ventura specializes in house music, and then we have Alienative in the bass scene, and it gives you a way to express yourself without building those barriers back, right? So would you ever even create another alias, or
Well, I was gonna mention I have Canwack, which is my psytrance alias. I have 13 albums with it, and that was for a long period in my life the main thing I was doing. I was really like only doing psytrance. That was in Brazil, um, but it was just the expression I was, you know, going through at the time. And when I moved to the U.S., that was not. Still, there is not a lot of space for psytrance music. So I had to kind of like,
we're
let
creating that
me
space? I
adapt.
really have seen the growth over electronic music in the years, and I'm really excited that people are welcoming the genre and becoming awoken within that.
Hmm.
Um,
It's important.
it is very important, and it's almost, just within race, just accepting every one around us and what they sound like in their story, and being able to hear that story being told, no matter what language you speak. So that's really cool. So within the new music, I want to go back to your birthday, because we had so much fun on your birthday
Yeah, that
recently,
was a
and
lot
you
of fun.
created one of my favorite tracks. And guys,
Oh yeah.
I listen to this track when I get up for work in the morning, when I'm working out, or
Hmm.
whatever. It's just so fun, and it's the same as Felucca. You said that you created it within a few hours right
Four
after your
hours.
birthday. Very natural, and some
Yeah.
of the best pieces of art come from that.
Yeah.
And
I'm really proud of that one.
yeah,
Cause
can we talk more about that?
well, we were, still at my friend's Chrisman, Thank you for hosting us.
Shout out.
And then we were there still partying and it's noon and we're like, hey, what we're doing? Let's go to the studio. And then we went to the studio and I didn't even know Jessica raps.
She
And she
raps.
like,
She
oh, like
raps.
you have a mic?
She
Let's.
sounds beautiful on the mic. Honestly, I was just like, oh my gosh, these vocals are amazing.
Yep.
Her
It,
freestyle is
it was
awesome.
like one of those sessions that, like I said, just magic just happens. And
Yes.
a lot of producers that are out there, they're gonna under, understand. Like there are sessions that you just sit there for 10 hours and you just working, 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 and nothing comes out. And then you sometimes sit on a session and like, bloop,
And you do it
something
like that.
is
Yeah.
out there, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, what did we do?
What
you know?
just came out of that?
Yeah. But it was very, very, I'm very grateful for that because we every sound was hitting the spot. She was freestyling everything, and we were just chopping things up and putting where it belongs, and everything flew so organically, and everything sounded exactly where they should be. And I just felt honored to be able to like, hey, we
I
just
felt honored to
manifested it.
hear it. Honestly, I was just like, it's really cool to watch us grow. If you guys don't know, we have played 404 back in the day,
Hmm.
and we've really come up together. And um, I love seeing how much you've grown. You continue to grow every day, and I couldn't be more blown away by hearing. It just makes me so proud.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we're here for it.
yeah, we're here for it.
Ever always learning and always growing.
Always
What
growing.
else are we gonna do?
Yes. So, do you have any amazing shows coming up? What's in the future look like for Paulo and Alienative?
I have a show in Clarksville on the 28th, I believe.
Okay.
Um, but I'm not really, trying to be like, hey, gigs, give me gigs. Definitely
Yeah.
wanting to spend more
How's
time in the studio and just be creative and put music out and express myself. Of course, I want to continue nurturing in some ways what we have here in Nashville and expand and play outside of Nashville if possible. But at the moment I'm just not really like chasing gigs.
Yeah, you shouldn't. So how do you balance that for artists, because a lot of people get confused, like how are they making music and they're touring and they're doing this or they're doing that. I love that you are actually emphasizing the producing aspect. If you're putting out a track each week, that means that you are putting that foot forward each day to put out something new, to get to those stages when you want to, really, right? But it's not your first focus. Your first focus is the art itself.
Well, you mentioned 4-4. I had a project at this venue called Infrasonic for a whole year. We were hosting an event there every Sunday, and I had open decks, and I had the opportunity to give a lot of DJs their first gig, and something that I wish I had, when I first started DJing. And you know, the the industry, there are a lot of DJs wanting space and wanting gigs, and I much rather see the homies like, hey, go have it,
Go
and
take that.
instead of
Yes.
like I already
Yes.
I know my value. I've learned
You
to
know. Yeah.
appreciate that, and if there are promoters or people that throw events or any people that appreciate what I do that want to give me platform, I'm all down for it. But I'm not gonna be
Banging,
me,
begging for a
because
show. Yeah.
it can be very
It can be
like sweaty.
disheartening,
like
yeah, too, to also like feel like you need to be on stage to get the music out or whatever, but that's not necessarily true. I feel like a lot of artists can take a breath and realize that the more that you can focus on yourself and the more that you can put more music out, and just making sure that you are growing, all of those stages and things will come, and you
Mhm.
can choose what you want to play or when you want to play or things like that. But as long as you have that opening for people to listen to you always, then there's nothing wrong.
Well, on that note, it's also not gonna fall in your lap, right?
That's true, yeah.
you know, I have a lot of respect for DJs that are out there, grinding and doing what they can to get gigs like in an organic way and play and make an impact and get heard and hopefully get platform. But you know, just don't.
Don't get discouraged if
Yeah, don't. You know, if you don't get gigs, don't think that, oh, like nobody cares about me. Just
yeah,
also make yourself present at the venues
making
and
yourself present.
events.
Yes.
That's definitely something that I wish people would do more. You know, there. Let's say that we cater for 6,000 people here in Nashville, and a lot of these people just go to the bigger shows. When it's local shows, they don't really go support as much as unless it's their close friends. And I just feel like we gotta be there for each other
Yeah, we need to
more.
encourage to go check out a genre you never heard before. Go check out um, something, maybe you're not used to, or maybe who's not your friend, or because it really does mean the world to artists to have anyone show up, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but there's also that part that even if there's only one person on this floor or nobody, you just have a good
make
time,
that peace with
enjoy
yourself
that
that you're
moment.
you're
I was
good.
at
Yeah.
Golden Door the other night, and there's one dude, and
That's all it needs to
he
be.
it seemed like he was more bass oriented. I'm like, hey, if I play some bass music, would you enjoy that? And he's like,
Nice.
yep.
So you catered to him.
So
That's
it
beautiful.
was just me and him. They're locked in, and I was just sending it like if I was playing for a whole crowd, and just have a good time.
Read the
Like,
room. Yeah.
and that's all the you were talking about being an artist and being authentic. Like all that the audience wants, not only for a DJ or an artist, they just want you to be you. Like the
Yes.
more you are you, and the more you're enjoying the moment, the more
The
they're
more
gonna
they feel
connect with you.
inspired to
Yeah.
be themselves, and they carry that out. Um, and that's how we create a better community, I
Hmm.
think. And that's what you've been doing for a long time. And honestly, you've impacted my life so much within that. And I'm just so proud that you encourage people and you give people that platform to try things, or to, just to get their voice heard. And a lot of people don't know where to start, or necessarily, don't know how to get booked for a show or things like that. So open decks are a game changer. Open mics are a game changer. If you want to take a chance, and you want to maybe play a show one day, go try it out and see where you land. And the maybe some people won't like it. That's okay. But at least you learn within yourself, you know, how to build upon that.
Yeah, we definitely, I definitely encourage people to be out there and support each other. Go to the events. Go to the bar and buy a drink. Tip the
Yeah,
bartender.
support. Yeah.
Go and go to the dance floor. If you don't know the DJ, go cheer them up. If you know them, same thing. Um, we need to be supporting and helping each other because
And
we
be
can't do
present.
this
Yeah.
alone. Like,
Yes.
and that's, I feel like the one of the main messages I would like to put across is like, sometimes you're gonna be depressed or feeling alone, and you know being surrounded by people is just priceless. And
You made me cry.
it's something that no, it's important.
It is. When we came together that one day, I'll never forget it. And it really just takes friends being there for you to, you know, lean on or try things on. Hey, does this music sound good to you? Oh, it does. Okay, okay.
Yeah, at that,
Yeah.
and also check on each other, like
Yes.
in a good and bad way.
Yes.
Like you, it's better to make your friend pissed off on what something you said, but that's truth, and you're
Yeah, you
giving
have
them
to be honest.
perspective,
Yeah.
instead of just letting them, you know, go downhill and just watch them,
Right.
fall. And
Yeah.
sometimes
And that's hard
you
for
can help
both. Yeah.
someone doesn't want help, but if you're a true friend, you're always gonna be checking on them for good or bad. Like give them credit when they deserve, and give them shit when they need to hear it.
And
Like,
that's a real friend.
yeah,
So, guys, stay true to yourself. Be honest with your friends. Be honest with yourself, and keep putting yourself out there. And that's the biggest thing that we want for you and this community. And for you going forward, is there any, you know, what do your dreams look like ahead of you?
I would love to work with video games and do
You'd
scoring
be
or
so
sound
good at that
design
with the
with
visuals
that,
and stuff.
or films. Like I started making music videos, and I've gotten good traction on that. I made a track and a music video for The Penguin, the TV show on HBO, and I got good feedback on that. A channel picked up, and they were hyping me up about it. Um, that I want to definitely, on performance wise, I want to have a set that is a journey that has a message. Um, when you walk out of a movie theater and you have, oh my God, like
This is such a good
this,
comparison, Paulo.
like
Yes.
that you take something home, like
Yes,
because I feel like
yeah.
a lot of stuff that you go out to see nowadays is just shiny, beautiful sounds and cool visuals and lasers, and it's a friend of mine told me, made an analogy. It's like you're dangling a keychain to in front of a kid or something like that. I
Ah,
feel like we could be more deep about that. You were talking about
that
country music
message.
that
Yeah.
has lyrics and has a message. We have so many assets and ways to send a message across. And that's one of my goals, one of my dreams, to have a solid, clear, positive mindset, message,
Yes.
that impact people, the audience, in a
It's
positive way.
coming off really great, my friend, so far. So you're
Hopefully,
you're doing
yeah,
great.
we're here for it.
We're here. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
is there anything, you said you were working on the EP.
Hmm.
Do you have a timeline of maybe when you were thinking about releasing that or
Well, I'm trying to put together a label, and I want to release it through the label. Um, it's called Music Mecca Records.
I love it.
I'm just getting things lined up for that, and once I get that figured out, I'm gonna just pick a date and just send it. I also need to figure out publishing, because I need to put money. You know, when you are releasing music, if you don't have a following already to consume it, you have to figure out ways to push it.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's just gonna sit there on the internet, and like it,
Like
it,
my
it
first album. I'm
you
just
know it.
kidding.
Well,
You got to start somewhere. Yeah, you learn these things. I'm really happy that you're saying that because I had no idea, at the beginning and um I think that once you can realize like where to push things, what needs to be pushed and where, I mean, it's a huge asset for an artist.
yeah, and nowadays, social media is a big element of the whole thing.
Mhm.
You gotta be present on that and articulating yourself through different channels like YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all that stuff, and but also be clear and objective about what you're putting out. And publishing wise, you also need to have kind of a plan to release stuff. Like if it's through a label, they most likely gonna throw money and send it to some channels that are gonna put in a playlist or something that is gonna get ears, right? Because if you don't really have a machine to digest that, it's just gonna, like, oh, it's on the internet. Like, so what? Like,
And then you're sitting there like, oh, why did I get 5 plays? But that's the beauty of it, of that element and social media and knowing how that can work.
mm,
I really love that you bring that up because the more that people can understand that when you put something out and maybe it won't hit that algorithm and run and be an overnight sensation, that's okay because you can go back to like our track Feluca and you can promote it again, or
Mm-hmm.
you can,
You can
give it,
always make more.
you can make more and give it another life, or,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's really beautiful to help reach those audiences that maybe have never heard of your sound before, or things like that. It can help get your sound in front of people, and I think people really need to um, encourage that with themselves, to share that side of them. A lot of artists get scared to show their personality. They don't want to be judged because you're already judging your music, right? And so they're like, oh, well, if they don't like my music, I don't. So I want people to learn more and share more about themselves, their journey, where they come from, what inspires their sound, how they got
I
to
mean, I
even
get it.
create that in the first
You know,
place.
you know, um, it's a tough industry
It's
to
so
be in,
tough. Yeah.
and at the same time, you have to be authentic. You have to kind of
It's being
project yourself
vulnerable is the hard
into
part.
places
Yeah.
or niches that you want to be part of, or you want to have a look or a sound that sounds professional and it's appealing and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you just gotta be you, and the more you're you, no matter how weird or different or whatever it is,
The more it's
that's what we
appreciated.
as a consumer want. Like, be you,
Take
be
a
the fuck
risk.
out of you. Like,
Yes.
be, hey, like, this is me loudly. And,
Yes.
um,
It's beautiful.
yeah,
Awesome.
oh, yeah.
Awesome. So, going back to what the future lies ahead, what does the summer look like for you? Are you going to go to any festivals, or what's your favorite festival you've been to so far?
Um, Favorite festival been so far, dude. There are so many.
I know, that's why I have to
Um,
ask you.
I don't. I intend on just kind of for the summer just see if there's stuff that come my way. If Because I work AV, I've worked stage management for Deep Tropics last year. I've been doing production management at the office last year
You're
as well.
killing it.
Um, I just right now, as much as I want to go to all the festivals and be there, I want to be part of it in some way. I want to
You're still
work
creating that
and
atmosphere, like
like I
Kyle
have
and
friends
yeah.
that they sometimes invite me, like, hey, you want to do this gig here? You want to do this there?
You're like, no, I'm helping some folks.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, let's go put some boxes and
Yeah.
put the speakers up and make
Yeah.
it happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's fun, and
It's beautiful.
it's very rewarding to see the whole thing put together and see people enjoying it. It's a very rewarding experience. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of summer plans. I want pool parties.
Hey, we
I want
love
some
that.
hot tub somewhere at some time. You know,
That's
just
lovely.
just relax and
Yeah,
be
take it
creative
easy.
and enjoy life. Yeah.
With that connection to life, I want to talk about the connection on the dance floor, and how you connect with your crowd. Um, do you say that you catered to that one person in the audience that maybe liked bass music. How do you know what to play, or how do you kind of like freestyle up there, like, oh, this is going to be a major hit? How can you give any tips to DJs that maybe are just starting, that aren't mastered in that yet?
It's always gonna depend. There are definitely gigs that you get. Let's say that you're opening or closing for a headliner, and you want to adapt um, what you're coming out with. As an opener, and closer, definitely don't want to play the headliner's music. And somehow, for the industry, you want to be tame for the opener. I understand that, but I'm like, if you can outplay the headliner, you should be the one headlining. Like, I like closing because then you can just full on send it.
Yeah.
But you stay within the genre of the headliner, and sometimes just read the room, see if they are asking for more energy, or if you're coming in too hot, just kind of mellow it out.
How
And also, like, sometimes just set the vibe. Like, if you are feeling like playing something and you're
Yeah.
they're enthusiastic about it, people are gonna resonate and they're gonna
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
gonna enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you obviously, mess ups can happen, right? So how say a transition goes wrong. Do you have any tips on how you carry that into the next song or, kind of making your mess ups beautiful? How do you do that?
Um, well, train wrecks are
I've
gonna
never heard you
happen.
mess up, so I'm just wondering.
Well, I have a funny story. Well, first tip: always have at least one extra flash drive.
Yes.
Cause I was a noob. I was closing for John Summit. That was in beginning of 2020, I think. But I only had one flash drive, and I put it on, and on the very first track, I got on an emergency loop. And for who doesn't know, an emergency loop is when your flash drive pretty much stop reading what's in there, and
It's
the
so
track just
scary.
loops like on a very short loop forever. And I was lucky that his flash drive was on the CDJ still. So I'm like, I just pulled one of his tracks
There you
and
go.
played and took my flash drive out, put it back in while his
Reboot.
track was playing, and then started the set again. And I
Awesome.
was like the entire set like, is it gonna happen again? You
I
know.
feel like we stay like that. You kind of have to like be ready for those moments because with hardware and technology, you don't necessarily know when something's going to freeze or
Yeah,
not read right.
yeah. There's always, in like sometimes the sync, not the sync button. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
The when the CDJs are not connected properly, the grid is not gonna be how it looks, and you just gotta be ready to like, hey, now I'm gonna use my headphones. I have to be dialed in. But just the more calm you are when shit goes wrong, the better it is for you. Because when you're nervous, you're just gonna make more mistakes. And if you're calm and just play with it. If you made a mistake, either just like backspin, like, oops, I fucked up, haha, like.
Yeah,
And
you could spin it out or
however that you
anything. Yeah.
try to bring it back in. If it's too bad, it's like a complete train wreck. Just like embrace it and just like cut it. And like, all right, let's try this again. Like,
Yeah, get on the mic. Just,
it
yeah.
just engage with the audience. The more you are engaged with the audience, especially when you make mistakes, they are gonna appreciate you even more because they're like, oh, he's just a human like us. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he made a mistake. Cool. Like, we're here.
We
Like,
forgive you. Yes. We love it. Yeah.
yeah. And like, just be prepared. Like, you know, uh, there are times that it's fun to play winging your set, and it's fun to like, hey, what am I gonna do? Let's go with the vibes. But also, it's also fun to be very specific and organized, and have like, I'm gonna start this track and play this one and this one, this and this one, and I'm gonna start this track at this period and here
That way, so you
is
can kind of be ready for when those hurdles do come up when you're running that track. I guess I'm comparing it to act, track and field, but it's kind of like that. You have to be ready for if that jump does come.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to foresee when something is gonna go
You
like
can't. Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
but just come prepared for the worst and prepared to do your best. I don't
Yeah.
know, like, there are times that you're gonna have gear that is malfunctioning, or you might not have a monitor, or I don't know. Like, there are so many variables that could go wrong, but
It
just
all goes
play with it.
into endurance and making sure that endurance is, you know, um, l- longevity. I hope I say that right. Yeah. Um, and making sure that that endurance is there. So I love that you can give those tips because you don't really necessarily know until you go through it, and I love that we can share that for other people to kind of get them ready for some of those jumps.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun. Like, it's such a rewarding moment to be up there playing. Um, I you know I had so many amazing moments just connecting with the crowd. That's I'll be always in my memory. I'm like, oh my God, remember that time? Remember that other time?
Well, let me dig in your memory. Can we know your favorite show that you've played so far in Nashville?
Uh, Definitely the most valuable one for me was the one at the Ryman. That
Wow,
that's such an honor that I can't. I got a check from the Ryman, and it was just so off the chains of what it meant. Like being like the first DJ. Like I felt like in some deep ways, like, hey, now we accept electronic music in some way, and
it's
I
beautiful.
just feel gifted to you know pioneer that stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, so going off that, what can we expect from you in the future? Just within production or I mean, obviously we talked about shows, but how do you keep leveling up your production? You're obviously learning new things. You're making sure that you're staying educated and keeping up with what's cool and things like that. So how do you keep it fresh?
Um, that will go back to when I was talking about, going out to the events and going support your friends and being out there and seeing what's going on. Uh, if you're going out to the events and uh, not necessarily performing, just being there as a consumer, you stay looped in on what people want to listen, what's not popping, what is popping, who likes what, and just being present and listening. That's how you like keep your
That's how
relevancy
you,
and
yeah.
your
And
antennas
you learn what
to
works and yeah,
yeah just be out there like
show up.
absorbing stuff
Yeah.
so you can resonate with it. What was the other question? Sorry.
Honestly, you nailed it. I wanted to
About the
just
future.
yeah,
Sorry, I
reproduction.
got like an hour of sleep.
No, you're good. You're a working man. Just how you're keeping it fresh, and I guess you answered that amazingly. Just you go out, you see something that inspires you, and you bring it back into the studio, right? And that's how you're keeping your music um, leveling up, or like keeping those new,
Oh
like
yeah.
you're
Oh,
adding in new elements
I
every
remember. Yeah,
time.
I found this new program called Touch Designer that I'm is really deep, but I want to dive in into it because it gives you live audio visual stuff that you can play with. I'm really fresh with it. I still haven't really created anything with it, but I feel like for what I want to do, that'll be the next level. That I'll be able to not only use the visual assets already created, that if I want to play my visuals at a show to at the level I am right now, I'll still need a VJ, and it will have to be time coded, so I can have that synced to the music.
Yep,
But
you're
with
creating
this,
of every
yeah,
element that goes into that journey, and that's so beautiful.
with this program, it looks like there are ways that you can have real time audio reactive visuals. That it's something that I want to dive in and understand how it works, so I can say, hey, what you can do with this,
You can
like
keep being authentic to yourself
yeah.
and what you like. I love it.
All right.
Well, we're going to wrap up here on episode 4, lucky number 4. And I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you so much for coming and hanging out with me today.
Thank
And
you for having me.
absolutely. And so, guys,
It's
keep
an
an
honor.
eye out for the future for Paulo Alienative. He will continue rocking the city and we'll keep supporting you always. And it's always good to see you. And
Always good to see you.
absolutely.
Tall hours.
Yeah, yep. Cheers,
Hell yeah.
guys. And until next time, my friend.
Yes, ma'am.
Cheers.
We're here for it. Hey.